Perfect. Well, let's get right into it. Yo, what's going on? You know, it's the vibes. You're kicking it with Maleman on Denver's Urban Alternative 104.7 The Drop. And I'm not lying when I say we have a powerhouse in the studio today. And I had the honor of learning from this man. He was my professor at MSU Denver Psychology. Let's talk about it, man. He's a performance psychologist, a former NFL mental coach, still doing that, an author. He's got a brand new book. He talks about mental health, brain power, how to get a checkup from your neck up. Right with me today is Dr. Rick Perea, Dr. P. How you doing, man? What's up?
I'm doing good, man. You know, I'm just flowing with the flow. I am a person that have been a fan of you for a long time.
Thank you.
When you were in my class.
Don't make me cry.
Nah, man. When you came in, you know what? You started from the neck up. Like you said, you came up to me and you said to me, I think there's a whole mental side to this. And I said, you're right. And so from the moment I met you, man, I understood that we would take it at a deeper level. And it's such a pleasure to reconnect with you, and I love what you're doing. Congratulations, man.
Thank you. I truly appreciate that.
Yeah.
That means a lot coming from you, man. I kind of want to actually check in. So this is what I do with my guests, and I know you would appreciate this. Literally, like honestly, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, how are you doing?
Yeah.
How are you doing for real, Dr. P?
Oh, man, when I consider everything, I'm doing wonderful. I'm doing great. Like, I'm so blessed. I'm engaged to the most beautiful woman in the world. My sons, all three of them are doing well. The two older ones are playing college football.
Okay.
I'm doing great. However, I do struggle. At times.
Yeah.
And I want people to understand that, like, even with me with a PhD and all the education that I have and experience in pro sports, in the corporate world, I'm willing to raise my hand and say I struggle at times. And I want people to know that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay, because I think so many times those of us that have success on a platform, on a national level, that we think we have to hold this flag up and say, man, I'm great. I'm always great.
Yeah.
I'm always
I'm
good.
good, bro.
No, I'm great most of the time, like I said, but there are days that I wake up and I'm like, dang, what are we going to do? What am I going to do to shape my thoughts? Because if I don't shape my thoughts will shape me, and I ain't going to allow that to happen.
So it's like total control. You got to have control of your mental.
And that's the sad thing about it is most people think that when they wake up in the morning, they wake up, take a shower, brush their teeth, get dressed. Man, you can shape your thoughts for the day. It's like working out from the neck down, the neck up. You got to get your brain ready for the day. And what are you going to do? Are you going to pray? Are you going to chant? You have a script. We teach performers how to shape their thoughts every single morning so they're thinking, feeling, and behaving at a top level.
So what does that mean for you today? You know, getting a checkup from the neck up. What does that exactly mean to you today?
So I have a platform where I'm shifting gears.
Okay.
So I have an office here off of I-25 in Arapahoe, which I've had the last 15, 17 years. And it's wonderful. We have float tanks, biomats. You were there.
Oh, we're going to get into that.
You saw it. But what I'm going to shift gears in the next year and a half, 2 years, is I'm going to work more on my classroom, which is called Kicking It with Dr. P. You can get your checkup from the neck up. And so I'll have multiple people in my classroom teaching them, techniques and tools so they can use to shape their thoughts every day. Modern therapy as we know it today, clinical psychology, I predict in the next 20 years will be antiquated and be out of date because it really focuses on pathology, like what's wrong with people.
Yeah.
So therefore your brain stays there and stays struggling. But if you teach people tools to put in their toolbox, how to regulate anxiety, how to use scripts to carve those new neural pathways, then, man, we have a chance to be great every day. Like starting right now, instead of like, well, it's going to take 3 months to feel better.
Right.
Forget that. No, it ain't like that. I can help you start feeling better today. Absolutely, by carving new neural pathways and putting tools in your toolbox. That's what we call performance psychology.
And see, I do want to get into that a little bit later, like some tips and how we can, take care of ourselves, like the self-care and all of those things. But what I really want to talk about right now is how does it feel to be selected as one of the top performance psychologists and innovative CEOs of the year? Like, how does that feel to you? Like, what does that mean to you?
It means a lot to me because, in all honesty, I feel like I'm one of the best. You know, I have people like DeMarcus Ware, who played football here for our Super Bowl 50
Mile
champion.
High salute, baby.
Yeah, Broncos and Von Miller and those guys who call me the best in the world at what I do. It's documented in my book. But I've always felt like I'm really good, if not one of the best at reaching people. Like I'm not the best researcher in the world. I don't spend my time in that realm. But in terms of reaching people, whether it's a 7-year-old gymnast or a 92-year-old lady who has Alzheimer's, I can reach them. You can take me to the CPT in the hood. For those of you who don't know what that is,
we know
it's the hood. You can take me there, and I'm
Shout
running
out LA.
it. Right,
Shout out Cali.
I'm running it in 5 days. You can take me to not this White House, but another White House. And I can fit in there too.
Right.
So for me, it's my skill set, my ability to reach people and help them feel like, dang, I can talk to this dude.
Yeah.
I can talk to this dude. And in fact, I have a project, if we have time to talk about it.
Yes, we got time.
Through Adam Sandler's production company. These guys are going to create a sitcom about me and my life. And we've already named it. We've already been bought. It's crazy, man. Yeah, it's
congrats.
crazy. Yeah, it's like you work your life and you think about reaching people, right?
Yeah.
And doing what I'm doing, psychology. And when I was teaching you, that's what I was relegated to for the rest of my life. I was going to be a college professor. And then one day I got a call from the Colorado Rockies, and they said, hey, man, we need you to speak to our team. We heard that you're a dynamic speaker. Spoke in front of the team. Dick Monfort, one of the owners, came to me and says, what do I got to do to have you full time?
Right.
I said, I don't think you understand. I'm a college professor. I can't just leave. He says, I don't think you understand.
What we doing?
What do we got to do to get you full time? So that's how it started. Then the Broncos, then the Nuggets, and it just took off from there, man.
That is crazy, man.
And to be thinking that now we're going to develop a sitcom and potentially a movie about me and my life and the way that I've reached people is just a validation of like this dude's. It's not just my knowledge, the PhD, right?
Right.
It's the way you communicate with people, the way you relate to people, the way you make it okay to say I'm not okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No facts.
Yeah. I mean, so I'll give you one example. I had this 14-year-old female come in my office. And she said, and her parents brought her in, and she said, we were watching a show called Broncos Country, and you were on there. I used to do a show called Broncos Country. And she watched me for like 15 minutes. She said, I'll go see that dude. And she was seeing some other therapist or psychologist and really wasn't going anywhere.
Right.
She came into the office, and she knew instantly that she wanted to talk to me. I tell you what, she came in my office. For the first 3 sessions, we didn't talk about mental health. We just kicked it. I said, play your favorite song on your phone.
Yeah.
And she played it. I played my favorite song. Then I rapped a song for her. Then I did beatbox. And then we just built this relationship. And so what people don't understand, many people don't understand, in psychology, it's as much about the relationship between the practitioner and the client as it is about the content, about what you're communicating with them. So we've got to remember, we're in the people business. We're in the people business. And by the way, pro sports is the people business.
No, facts.
Is the people business.
It's all about the people.
And what a lot of people still don't understand, like in the NBA, I can give you examples where coaches don't reach and connect with players. And that's why they don't last. It's not that they don't know basketball. It's not that they can't get the players to play in unity. They don't know how to connect with them on a human level, and that's what we're missing.
So, you always say, everyone is a performer, and you've worked with NFL teams, you've worked with, high-class companies, and you've, helped them get their mental together. What are, some mental health challenges that show up across the board when it comes to both players, employees, CEOs? What are some of the common things that you see when it comes to mental health challenges with a lot of our people? Yeah,
well, think about it from this perspective. Every person that works for an organization, whether it's the Broncos or Google or Apple, every employee that comes in those doors brings their personality.
Right.
Okay. They can bring their education, their competencies, their acumen, but they also bring their personality. And a lot of people struggle with anxiety, just general anxiety disorder. And so they don't just check that out the door. They bring it into their job.
Right.
So people, like, for example, I work with a law firm up in Boulder, Colorado, and they're one of the top performing law firms out there. And they just had me teach anxiety regulating techniques for their lawyers to use throughout the day because they're thinking about they got to bill this many hours, they got to have this quota, they got to do this, they got to do that so I can make partner.
And also dealing with other people's stresses.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, divorce attorneys, there's a lot of stress in divorce, so I'm telling you right now, just teaching them how to regulate anxiety on the fly, in their chair, at their desk, is powerful every day. Denver Fire, I did 54 leadership presentations for Denver Fire. And what happened, it was so cool because we're talking about leadership. And inevitably, in these presentations, the firefighters were saying, Doc, can you help us with anxiety? Can you help us between calls?
Yeah.
I went on this call and saw something I'd never seen before. Go back to the house, 20 minutes later, I'm working on a 70-year-old man, cardiac arrest, but my brain is back with that last call. And I'm not fully present trying to save a dude's life.
Wow.
So it's crazy how many people don't even realize that performance psychology can come into the organizational setting and help people perform at a high level just by reducing their anxiety.
So what kind of tips would you give to somebody who's dealing with depression or anxiety? What are some protocols that you would say you should do these things? These are the steps you should do every day or, once a day or whatever to just help you regulate your emotions, your depression, your anxiety. What kind of tips would you give to
So
that
I'm going to give you two answers. Number one, a pragmatic answer is diaphragmatic breathing. When you breathe through your diaphragm, the brain gets 20% more oxygen. When your brain gets 20% more oxygen, you have clarity of thinking and better decision making. Now, you're also on what we call the parasympathetic side of the autonomic nervous system. Now, I know that just sounded like anatomy class.
That was crazy. So those college words right there.
Right. But what it means, you're on the calm side of your nervous system. Most people are on the sympathetic side, which is the anxious side of their nervous system. So that right there can reduce anxiety in 3 minutes. Just take you calm, get your brain calm right away. The other thing I would say to people is, and I have it in my book, love is the answer. We got to get better in our society at loving people. Now, I say this. So many people, my clients will, when they leave, I say, love you, man. See you next time.
Right.
And sometimes they look at me like, love me? Like,
what
whoa,
you say, bro?
What? Yeah. And I tell people this. I'm not in love with you, but I love you.
Right.
Because to me, there's two elements to love. That's trust and belief. And if I believe in you and trust you, I love you.
No, facts.
And we, in our society, in the United States very specifically, we have got to get better at being very unconditional with our compliments. Like, we're quick to go, you know what, honey, you forgot to take out the trash yesterday.
Right.
It's been 3 times this week. What do you do? We're very quick to criticize, but sometimes we just look across the table. Sometimes we look at our kids, walking to the bus stop, and we're like, oh my gosh, they are such a beautiful person.
Yeah.
But we don't say it.
We think it.
But we don't say it.
That's facts.
We got to go over and say it like, oh my gosh, honey, you are the most beautiful human being I've ever met. I mean, inside and out. So
that gave me chills, bro.
Bro, love is the answer. There's a song, I think it was released in the late 70s, John Ford Coley and England Dan. I tell people, go out and listen to that song. There's so much beauty in that song, and they talk about, when you're in doubt, love is the answer. When you're down and out, love is the answer. When you're ready to give up, love is the answer. And so it's so core fundamental. It's like sports.
Yeah.
Fundamentals still wins. People think, I'm going to run this offense, I'm going to run this defense. Right. It's still fundamentals. The bottom line is when we learn to love each other unconditionally, guess what happens with anxiety? Goes right down.
So that makes so much sense.
Right?
Bro.
And we're living in a world without love. And that's why so many people suffer from anxiety. So there's real breathing techniques and visualization and words we can say in a script. But there's also pragmatic things like learn to love more openly and freely in life. You know, whether it's your family or your friends or strangers.
Or yourself.
I tell people, oh, baby, you
I'm
hit
just saying.
that's a nugget right there. Ourselves.
Yes.
But you know what? I tell people there's no strangers in the world. Now, I know parents are out there going, my 7-year-old needs to know they're strangers. I get it. But for adults, there's no strangers. You know, someone will say, I'm going to walk into this room and I don't know anybody. I'm like, so? You will know him right now. Just say, my name's Dr. P. Glad to meet you. Tell me a little bit about yourself. And we can bridge gaps quickly. I mean, I had a guy walk up to me after a presentation and he said, man, you just touched my soul. Like, do you coach individually? I started working with him, worked at New York Life, an executive at New York Life. Now I got 22 of them that I'm working with, you know? So like the love spreads. And all of them, at the end, we're done with our session, say, I love you, Dr. P, because they know that's my moniker.
Right.
So I tell people, just learn to love unconditionally.
No, that's super deep, and I appreciate you saying that. I feel like a lot of people need to hear that, especially in this climate that we're living in. Let's switch gears a little bit, though. Let's talk about other practices like sensory deprivation. Like, how does that help with mental health and, you know, composing yourself and taking control of anxiety and depression? Like, what does that do for you, sensory deprivation?
Yeah. Well, first of all, my practice is very eclectic. It's very diverse. I was never satisfied like talk therapy is the answer.
Right.
Because some people don't like to talk. Some people don't like to share. And that's cool. You know what I'm saying? But sensory deprivation, talk therapy, biomat, alpha stim, all these things are spokes in the wheel, but they're not the wheel.
Right.
And so the way I look at mental health is talking and sharing in these discussions can be a spoke in the wheel, but it's also sensory deprivation where you float in a tank and you bring down the top and you're devoiding your brain of any stimulation. See, the brain is constantly stimulated, even when we're sleeping. You know, we hear the furnace, we hear snoring, we hear airplanes, we hear, you know, crickets. You're never at a point where your brain hears nothing. And that's why the sensory deprivation tank is meant to do, that your brain is at a complete rest. The brain doesn't even know how to react when it has no stimulation.
I've done it myself.
Right? You know, I have had people float in the float tank with the top down, and they come out and they say, man, I saw colors I've never seen before.
That's crazy.
I saw shapes I've never seen before. I thought thoughts I'd never thought before. You know, I got in that thing and I was feeling sensual. I'm not sure why, but I was.
Right.
You know, I was like, whoa. So for me,
that's crazy.
It's having different spokes in the wheel. We do Tibetan singing bowls. My lovely fiance sitting right here, she does the Tibetan bowls for people. The sound frequency, the brain registers that as pure energy, and then it transfers it down the spinal cord and calms the central and autonomic nervous systems.
Wow.
So think about this. There's people that are holding on to pain. They will release that pain when they hear the frequency because it goes through the brain to the central and autonomic nervous system without your consent. When I first learned to do the bowls, the cat was doing it, and I felt tears coming out down my face. And then after the training, I said, what was happening? He said, you are releasing energy without your consent. So it doesn't, you don't even have to say, okay, it's the energy, the sound frequency, the vibration that releases the energy. So Tibetan bowls, biomat, we have a device that stimulates the alpha brain waves. It's crazy, man, that if you're willing to really strive and be eclectic and diverse in what you do, we can help people regulate their anxiety through a multitude of electronic devices that are all science-based and proven to work. But the key is a lot of people don't know about them.
And that's why I'm happy to have you here, you know, because we need to know about it. I'm happy you're explaining this. Let's talk about the decision point. Let's talk about the book. Where can people find the book? What can we expect when we read this book? Like, what you got to offer in this book, Dr. P?
Well, bro, let me tell you something. This book, to me, is so special because I was the team psychologist for the Super Bowl 50 champion Denver Broncos, right?
That.
After the Super Bowl, I had a couple of players, Ryan Harris, Benny Fowler, that wrote books, and they said, Doc, you got to write a book, man, because like you were the engine behind us. So I set out to write a book, and this is what the title was going to be, The Psychology of a World Championship. right?
Okay.
Yeah. So I started interviewing players for my book. And as I started interviewing more and more players, I found of how many of us have suffered trauma. Trauma in our families, trauma at school, trauma on the football field. And so many people had gone through something. I suffered trauma. At 7 years old, my 18-year-old brother was murdered. And when my 18-year-old brother was murdered, at 7 years old, I didn't know what to do. I didn't get therapy. I didn't get help.
Yeah.
So for 7 years, I just fought. If you looked at me wrong, I was going to punch you. And that's not a way to go through life, right?
It's probably problematic.
Right? So I found help at the right time. Psychology. I took a psychology class, saved my life. Football saved my life. But when I started getting into this book, so many players were like, Doc, man, the reason I'm here is because, I saw a neighbor get murdered in my front yard. My brother got murdered in the street. These were real stories. And I was like, I ain't going to do no book about just the psychology world. That seemed too simple. So I wanted to do it about people's lives. So Decision Point, it came up because I want people to know they can deploy leadership and great communication skills in the face of adversity. Not just when things are good, but when you've had trauma. You can take that trauma and turn that into fuel in your life. Look at me. I'm telling you right now, man, I would not be where I am, do the things I've done. I'm not saying all that in a bag of chips. No. But I'm saying I've lived a life. Yeah. Like I've lived like 9 lives already, right?
That's crazy.
And I wouldn't be that person if my brother wouldn't have been murdered.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
The trauma
that was
those
the
things
trauma.
Shaped you. Yeah.
That trauma made me take that energy and turn it into fuel. Because if I wouldn't have, I'd have been dead or in prison. I'm telling you right now.
That makes sense.
But I'm proud to say, okay, if all the law enforcement are listening, I've never been arrested. I've never been in jail in my life. And to me, that's a miracle.
That's a dub, bro.
That's a miracle.
That's a win.
And then you put on top of that my education,
your successes,
and the successes I've had.
Yeah,
we can turn this into fuel because I'm proof that we can do it.
Man, that is powerful, and I salute you, man. And like we were saying earlier, being in your class really helped me become the person that I am today. And you've helped me regulate my emotions. You've helped me just see a brighter future for myself. And you've helped me be vulnerable with the people that I love and the people I don't even know. You know, it's just like I can walk into a room and just be my natural self and be accepted and accept other people as well.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to ask you, this might be a crazy question. I'm going to put you on a hot seat,
There's no crazy, baby.
I'm going to put you on a hot seat.
Bring it.
This might be crazy. Give me your top 5 leaders of all time.
Ooh, of all time.
Of all time. You can go anywhere with this one.
Number 1, Martin Luther King.
Okay.
Number 2, Nelson Mandela. Number 3, my father. Yeah. Number 4. Sorry, man.
No, it's all good.
All good. Man, my dad.
What's your pop's name?
Rudolph. He's passed away.
Okay.
He go by Rudy, but yeah, man, he was an amazing human being.
That's powerful.
What's that? Number 4?
That was 3.
That was 3?
Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, pops.
Number 4, Coach Jacobs, my defensive coordinator from college.
Okay.
And number 5, this lady sitting right next to me right here, Elida Macaluso.
That is solid. And I appreciate
you
giving us
real quick?
that. Yes.
Because this lady has taken care of so many people as they're dying of cancer. Her mother, her sister, her late husband, her father, and just a giver. And but yet she still is able to keep it going, man, and keep it right. And as a person that's been around Hall of Famers, the best in the world, she's my top 5. And you notice that none of those people I mentioned were from the NFL or the NBA.
No, facts.
You know what I'm saying? These are real people.
That's the point.
Real people, man. And I thank you for even asking. That's a great question. That's one of the best questions I've ever heard. Because that's no prep on that. That just came out.
And that's why we do it. That's a hot seat question. We got to know. And I like, seriously, Dr. P, like, I appreciate you as a human. I appreciate you as a teacher, as a man. And, I appreciate you for coming to the drop, kicking it with us, kicking it with me, talking so much love and greatness into our listeners. I think so many people will benefit from this conversation, and I'm super happy that we were able to have this. So thank you so much for coming on the show and, doing what you do. Thank you for being you, real talk.
That's kind, man. And thank you for having me on the show, welcoming Elida here too.
Of course.
I'm a giver. I'm a giver. Like, I'm not comfortable unless I'm helping and healing. So anytime you need me, brother, and I love you, man. I love you and trust you. Even Will sitting right here. I just met this dude. I love him too.
Will's
man.
a real one.
You know what I'm saying?
Will's a real one.
That's leaving your comfort zone. You know what I mean? That I don't even really know Will, but I know Will.
Right.
You feel me?
No, I feel you.
Yeah. All right, man.
And Will's that dude, man. And I love Will too. I love you, Will. And I love you too, Dr. P. You know what I'm saying? Thank you so much. You know what it is. It's Mailman on Denver's Urban Alternative 104.7 The Drop, and that's your mental health moment.